Chapter 11. Confusing. Math class was math class, easy and predictable. Most people don't get it once you understand the concept. Anything in math is just plunking a number in and trying not to get confused. I figured it out a long time ago, and the first 15 minutes of any lesson meant that the principal was there, and guess what? If you clarify now, you'll ace the content of the course later. This gives you a lot more time for things you like to do, like thinking about unrelated topics, or other homework covertly disguised in your binder. The bulk of school really isn't that hard. It's an overly dramatic social life, and choosing to be stupid, however, are. And for the first class, this was perfect. This made sense for the first point in the day as far as numbers related problems go. I had none, and I was on the verge of getting happy. And then it did not go well from there. Math may have started my day with logic that I enjoyed, but it was quickly uprooted by social studies with Miss Jenny and then language arts with Mr. Wright. That's not a bad morning set, but when your brain wants to logically figure out tangents and the sum of averages, you don't switch nicely to political discourse of the early 21st century. Reality show American presidents and Canadian drama teacher prime ministers aside, follow that madness to the left. Learning Romeo and Juliet is torture. Morning classes were appropriate, and as someone who wants to learn, appropriate sucks. The first days of real science class as a middle schooler are awesome. You know why? Because you get to do things you've never done before. Dissect a frog, make a cloud in a jar, use a microscope. High school robs you of this in lieu of teaching you how to regurgitate facts for provincial exams. The hints of new knowledge are there, but the fun is gone. And the fun was not here. Not just because I was new, but more because I knew. Knew. I knew that this schedule would repeat ad absurdum until the winter semester, and being a transfer student, I couldn't pick a lot of my courses, as certain programs didn't translate nicely from Ontario to New Brunswick school systems. We covered Romeo and Juliet in grade 10, but they do it here in grade 12. We started band in grade 9, but you can't be in band here until grade 10. The difference is that no one knows unless you're part of that 0.00% chance of people who move to a new school in their senior year across provincial borders. Then you get this complicated understanding of what it means to be confused. Lunch helps with this, and it's the brief respite I had on one day before my afternoon classes. I met up with Jay and Kylie in the lobby just outside the cafeteria, and the sheer volume of bodies in the hall spoke deeply to how essential the school was to kids. Everyone was catching up, even as far as away as a lot of people lived from each other. I don't blame them. I just wish they were quieter. The pizza sucks and the poutine is deservedly questionable, Jay shouted as we lined up for the hot lunch provided by the three hair-knitted old ladies behind the glass counter. And the corn dogs are also fine enough if you're into that sort of thing. They're disgusting too, Kylie yelled. But they're... Then why are we lining up? I said, getting my wallet out and grabbing a blue tray from the wet stack in the front of the line. Mexi fries, Jay said, with a reverent and slightly erotic tone that most people say for works of art or poetry. Jay spoke of them like they were listening to your favorite band's recorded unheard music tracks from the studio. Like they might have had a chance at being part of his love life, even with Kylie standing begrudgingly beside him. And to say that these simple, spicy beef and cheese encrusted tater tots were good would be to rob the world of the beauty that is the word tasty. Not much in the wide world of cafeteria food is good. Most is acceptable at best, but much of what's being sold to you is neatly falling into the category of gross. But Mexi fries were good, and they went fast. We were by no means last in line, but I might have got the second to last cardboard basket of them, their translucent reddish grease coating each crispy potato and beef morsel that was piled haphazardly, dolloped with salsa and sour cream. I popped one into my mouth and became a worshiper of the golden goddess that was Mexi fries from that moment on, forsaking my Canadian heritage of poutine for the rest of the school year. I felt a tinge of guilt that I wasn't eating the lunch my mom packed me, confined to its paper bag in a prison of my locker upstairs. But hey, these were good. Sarah was eating a salad next to the table with Jay and Kylie that Jay and Kylie led me to. She watched us walk to the table through the crowds of the people in the cafeteria. Another one bites the dust, she said, as we settled in, shaking her head at me. Hey now, Jay protested, and Kylie rolled her eyes as he shoved a finger at Sarah. I will not have you sully my cousin's first dip into the bounty that is Mexi fries, all because of your harebrained delusion on the food industry. Vegan. He said the word vegan, like it was a vegetable-only diet somehow made Sarah a cult member. I'm not a vegan, she said, glaring at Jay with faux disgust. But meat, for the most part, is murder, she said, and to To me, more as an explanation than a defense for Jay. Tasty, tasty murder, I said. You're a horrible human being who enjoys killing innocent cows. You know that? Sarah said, so convincingly serious that I might have believed her. But she was clenching her jaw, a subtle but noticeable tell that she wanted to laugh. Tasty, tasty cows, I offered, forcing a smile out of her. Sarah quickly snapped a finger full of my sour cream and made Jay almost choke on his first bite by sticking her tongue out with a mouthful of the topping. We all laughed, mouthfuls of food and fun. Lunch was fun, genuinely and tastily fun. Afternoon classes weren't. French after Mexi fries is always a bad idea. It's worth it bad idea, but bad all the same. Followed by biology and then gym, which for the love of God should be an elective by grade 12, but wasn't because of my damn Ontario high school transcript. We had a 45-minute bout of exercise every afternoon with Mr. Greggs, a gym class that I might add with a wonderful friend in the last chapter, Tony Smith. Nothing ever happened but a few looks of general assholeness from his end, thankfully. The class schedule, however, leaves you with a particularly sweaty ride home for the convoluted bus route. Because the school district shares buses, we had to stop at 3 different schools on the way back to pick up junior high kids and elementary school kids as well. This meant for a bit of backtracking, but led to the bus ride somehow being longer than it was when I came to school. Nothing about this day made enough sense for my liking. Social studies shouldn't be that close to math. Deep-fried anything shouldn't be that tasty. And how the hell can a not-vegan still think meat is murder? And how can a bus delivering the same amount of kids back home take longer to travel the same distance? I hopped on the bus at the end of the day, just after Kylie and Jay, and sat there trying to find the answers to the confusion with the pale white interior of the bus. The day was a blur. It'll get better, Sarah said when the bus came to a stop at my house, and I daydreamed my way through most of the ride home. She smiled and made eye contact and grabbed my bag and slithered down the mostly empty bus aisle. My mom was home, or at least her car was, and the only thing that would add to today's confusion would be if she suddenly took off-roading and bought a four-wheeler. I stepped into the house and smelled something pasta-like cooking in the air. Day 1, done. How's your day, honey? Mommy asked. As Mom said, still working on something for supper at the counter. Did you find all your classes okay? Busy, I said. I really didn't want to recount the events and the confusion. So I tossed my hoodie on the chair and made my way to my room. I'll be in my room, I said, halfway up the stairs. Thankfully, Mom didn't protest. It was almost 5 o'clock now, and my room was still half unpacked, and I just sat on my bed trading glances at the alarm clock that started all this mess, and the window to the deep green nothing that was New Brunswick's back countryside. It looked like a sea of leaves that went on forever. I felt like crying, but didn't cry. An ache that I can't even remember feeling before. Confusion-induced sadness is what I resigned to considering the feeling as. Sarah seemed to pick up on that, I guess, and I don't want to stay locked in my head trying to figure life out. So I began unpacking my room and trying desperately to make it more familiar. I took all my books out and organized them alphabetically, grabbed my posters and started pinning them to the walls, and set my desk up with my book bag. Mom called later and announced supper was ready. At least I had a whole dinner supper thing finally figured out. We ate cheesy chicken casserole and steamed veggies with a side of mashed potatoes, a stereotypically home-cooked, carb-filled meal as you could get, but still a great meal with no leftovers due to unparalleled quality. The food tasted different, and I'll chalk it up to our house's well water being so different from the city pipes, and the memories of Mexi fries still rattling around in my head. So, Chapter 11. Hope you guys like it. The link is in the description for the book. You can buy it in paperback or for Kindle down in the description below.